Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, a sports podcast that covers up-to-date, latest news in sports and everything controversial and in between. I'm your host, TJ, and with me again, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there is no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grump, how are you this evening?
Splendid. Better than Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, Christian McCaffrey. Oh, man, oh, man. Before we start jumping in, I do want to remind everybody the best way to show support for this podcast is by subscribing on YouTube, liking on Facebook, and following on Twitter. If you enjoy what we put out, you enjoy this content, make sure you do those items. Make sure you hit the like button too. We go live every single Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That being said, our next podcast will be October the 3rd. October the 3rd, Grumpy.
Right, because TJ is going to be gone for a little while.
Yes, I will. That being said, Grumpy, you mentioned Christian McCaffrey. Oh, man. You want to talk about a guy who, in my opinion, now is a little bit injury prone. Rumors and reports are saying that he maybe tore his hamstring. I'm not sure what degree the tear was, significant. I have no idea how, but they're saying it was pretty serious.
Well, they ruled him out immediately in the game, and then they said, but he couldn't get out of that tent, couldn't get out of the blue tent. So he doesn't have a Tua Tagovailoa injury. It seems like he has a legitimate injury.
Oh, look at you.
I'm just saying.
But so I do like this portion, right? Because there's different types of hamstring, like hamstring strains, tears, etc. So if he could not walk off the field, I'm saying that if he had to be carted off, he's at least out 4, maybe 5 weeks. And for a team, the Carolina Panthers, they're going to be vying to start off the season 3-0, given they've played some pretty weak competition. But Christian McCaffrey is one of those huge pieces for that team.
He's their most important player. I don't think you can say it any other way. He's the most important player on the Carolina Panthers. And, I'm not saying he's done for the year. I have no idea. But anytime that you see a non-contact injury, that's a problem.
Well, anytime a hamstring injury happens, it's always a non-contact injury, bro.
Well, yeah, I guess.
That being said, geez Louise. This is what happens when you run a running back to death, when you overuse the hell out of them. Think about it, right? I feel like I've been yelling this for years, Grump. When he first came on the scene and really exploded onto the scene, right? He was an absolute fit. Everybody loved him in fantasy football. The guy's a jack of all trades. He's out there for 95% of the snaps. He's getting the ball either via run or via a catch every single down out there. And I always told you, I said, there's only so much tread on the tires, right? Last year, he had the shoulder injury that banged up. He was injured in and out, high ankle sprain, shoulder injury, etc. Now he's got a hamstring, tear, strain, whatever you want to call it, going to miss extended time period. I think you have to slap a injury-prone label on Christian McCaffrey now. Do you not?
Well, he's been hurt the last 2 years now. It's possible. He signed that big contract extension. And, it's like, okay, he's been kind of banged up since he's had that. It could be just a fluky thing. But, you're right. Running backs only have so much tread on the tires. Now, you just said, he's really good at fantasy football. Well, guess what? He's good in real football, too.
No, I'm saying everybody loves him. Everybody loves him in fantasy football. He gets the ball every single down. Hey, yeah, he's an excellent football player, excellent running back. I'm just saying.
He gets between 28 and 30 touches a game, which is a lot.
At least. That's just, he used to, when he first popped on the scene, he was getting like 20 some odd carries a game, and he at bare minimum, like 23, 24, and then like receptions, he was getting like 10 a game too. The guy was touching ball every which way. And again, it just takes a lot of beating. And, this is just one of those items to him. Man, you feel for him too. But in my opinion, he's injury prone. Christian McCaffrey's injury prone now.
Okay. Well, we're going to find out. Like I said, I'm not going to jump to that conclusion. You got to have 3 in a row before I'm going to call you injury prone.
This is it. He was hurt. He was hurt last year. He had 2 separate injuries that kept him out for extended time period. And now this injury is going to keep him out for extended time period.
Yeah, but he never got over that first injury last year. I know he came back for one game. You don't want to know why I know? Because he came back against my team in fantasy football, absolutely lit it up, and then gets hurt the next game. Or, as a matter of fact, at the end of that game, and wound up costing me a shot at the championship. Thank you.
Oh, boo-hoo, Grumpy. Boo-hoo, my fantasy football team.
Yeah.
No.
But I don't pick him. I didn't pick him. First of all, I wasn't lucky enough to pick first in the draft. I was picking like 11th, 12th.
I know our fans love to hear about your fantasy football team, Grumpy, but we're going to move on to the next subject because you happen to see, I zoomed that in. You saw Adam Schefter right there. Now, have you heard what Adam Schefter is doing here, Grumpy? Have you heard what he's in the process of doing? Have you heard it? I'll ask you first.
I heard briefly about it, but please inform everyone.
Yes, I'll read it. So at least one of the NFL or ESPN's most high-profile employees is interested in gambling too. Adam Schefter, a prominent on-air analyst designated by the network as an NFL insider, recently invested in Boom Entertainment, a maker of sports and casino gambling apps that is also developing what it describes as real money gaming products. One of Schefter's co-investors in Boom is Robert Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots football team. And other sports ventures, current and former gambling, sports, and broadcast executives and companies are also investors. And this one gets a little smaller, so I'm going to have to ask you to hold on.
A little smaller?
It gets a little smaller, I know for you guys. That being said, it says Schefter's stock in the trade are football scoops such as new contracts, trades, injuries, starting lineups, and other gossipy stuff that gives viewers a sense of who's up and down and who might win or lose. I don't really agree with that last portion. And then he says that information is also valuable to gamblers or anyone who might own, say, a sizable stake in a newfangled gambling company interested in digital sports betting. Grumpy. Now, I want to ask you what you think of this. NFL insider Adam Schefter now is an investor and one of these founders here of a sports gambling website.
My initial take on it, and you see Robert Kraft in there, and then they mentioned, other broadcasters and gambling executives. You know what it tells me? These people have been in bed for quite a while. But that's what happens when you pretty much say that you're going to be in bed with gambling operations like Las Vegas, putting the Raiders there, or legalizing gambling, with DraftKings and stuff like that. What does it mean? It means that you can't stop a player. Let's say a player somehow makes a bet on a game. Can you really get on the player? I don't think you can, because you have now owners and you have broadcasting people who are getting involved in it. I just think it's a slippery slope.
Well, okay. I'm more talking about the big issue here now, right? Schefter's a guy who breaks a lot of rules. And again, sports gambling and sports betting could be anything and everything. Oh, do you think, XYZ? Do you think JJ Watt's going to be traded? Do you think, and again, a guy who has the inside scoop like that, and who's usually known as a very reliable source, he could and again, I'm not saying he's going to, I'm just saying it's a possibility that he might say, oh, hey guys, I heard that Baker Mayfield might be on the move. I heard that DeAndre Hopkins might be on the move. Here's the rumblings, at this year's NFL trade deadline. People are going ahead and putting money, gambling on who they think might be officially traded to get a big payday. And when all is said and done, maybe those rumors weren't all so solid and concrete. Maybe you wouldn't have reported on something like that before if you didn't have something to gain out of it, Crump.
Well, I understand, but I don't think he's got as much power as it comes to that than you realize. My concern is Robert Kraft, honestly, an owner of a team being involved in this. So he could say, okay, I'm not going to bet on my team this year, or I just think there's so much more that an owner could get involved by saying
they're all the same.
Yeah, I just think he's just a reporter, where you got a guy who's actually involved with teams. I think that's even a bigger story, honestly.
The reporter breaks the news and gives people an inkling of what may happen. And if you got a guy who could possibly manipulate that information, what's to say he might not have a large portion of the game monetarily from something like that? You see it all the time in other industries. It'll leave it vague like that.
Okay, but let's say somebody like Jerry Jones, who's a general manager of the Cowboys, let's say he's involved with it, right? He could sandbag his team or do whatever to cash in, right? I mean, he's the GM. Yeah, we're going to cut this guy. It's going to be a last minute thing. I mean, I just think it's an issue with the actual owners and all these and everybody being involved in gambling. I just think it's a mistake overall. I don't put as much because Schefter has to get his money from somewhere, his information from somewhere. And you know what? We always know he's been tight with the Kraft. So let's say Kraft feeds him bad information and he reports it. He's just a reporter.
Or let's assume he gets information and he's selective on what he releases or talks about. Again, people look at the gateway pundit, Grumpy. They look at who's the gatekeeper on this, who's the doorkeeper for that information. It's not Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft doesn't go out there and say Damian Harris is going to be hurt. Damian Harris might be traded. It's not Robert Kraft. Other people talk to Adam Schefter, and Adam Schefter releases this information. So if Adam Schefter, let's say, well, I hear something that, I heard it, but, I had a few executives shoot it down. They said there's no way this is going to happen. I'm not going to happen to include that in my tweet. I'm just going to say Damian Harris might be on the move because I did hear that from Joe Montanaz down the street, who, sometimes is right, sometimes is not, even though I heard from multiple other executives it's not going to happen. I'm going to say, I'm just going to leave that last portion out.
Well, here's the thing. What's the one thing about Adam Schefter? If he says it, it happens. So let's say I can't remember the last time he was wrong, honestly.
Okay, he says sometimes where there's rumors, hey, I'm hearing this is going to happen. I'm hearing this might happen. He'll leave it loose and open-ended like that so it can't be tied to it. That's all. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he's going to do it. I'm just saying it leaves him a possibility to do it.
Yeah, like I said, but then if let's say he's wrong on a couple of things, big things, it's going to cost him his job at ESPN. And then it kind of ruins any credibility he has. I just think, like I said, I'm more concerned with the NFL owners getting in bed with gambling. I think that's a bigger issue, way bigger.
It's all Adam Schefter. Yeah, little Adam Schefter. Yeah, it's all a big issue. But I figured you get a kick out of that because we've always talked about it. The only color any of these people, these executives, these people high up in these industries see is the color of green. How much money they can make. So it does not shock me.
Care about.
Yes, Grumpy. So it doesn't shock me at all. I wanted to show you that because I thought you'd find it kind of interesting. Now I'm going to let you run with this next portion, Grumpy. This is a topic you said you would like me to cover and like us to cover. Now, and again, you follow this very closely because you happen to be a big old hunk for Tom Brady. But Tom Brady's personal trainer, Alex Guerrero, came out and was talking about the relationship Bill Belichick and Brady had and what maybe was one of those items that kind of led to a fracturing of that relationship. And I wanted you to kind of cover that, Grant.
I just want to give you a little background, right, on my boy Tom Brady and the Darth Vader of the NFL, Bill Belichick, right? Of course, an acrimonious breakup. Brady wanted to finish his career in New England. Belichick didn't want him. Belichick's been trying to unload him since 2014 when they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay? He even said it when they drafted Garoppolo, with Tom's age and contract situation. So what does Brady do? He increases the level that he works at, and he's almost had a total renaissance of a career.
Okay. Well, okay, Grumpy. I'm not asking for you to give me a dissertation.
Okay, well,
I want you to hit the important stuff. I don't need to hear how Tom Brady's won 7 Super Bowls, which you're going to start talking about and all that. I want to hear the important stuff.
Okay, here's the important stuff. Bill Belichick didn't like the power that Tom Brady was getting as he got older. So he continually put him down and squashed him. Always and always. At the end, Alex Guerrero, who's his personal trainer, always had an office at the Patriots facility. Bill Belichick didn't like that a lot of the players were going to Alex Guerrero. So he cut off Guerrero's access. And guess what? So Brady had to hire an office outside so he could work with Guerrero. Okay? Other players were said not to be allowed to work with him. See, so there's a lot of animosity. So what it comes down to, right? Bill Belichick has treated Tom Brady like a second-class citizen his whole career. And that's what this came from. When Guerrero says he was talking to Brady when he was in his 40s like he was when he was 20. When Brady ruptured the skin before the AFC Championship game against Jacksonville in 2017, he had a thumb injury so bad that it just tore the skin. And somehow he was able to play, and he played fantastic. And Belichick, instead of coming out and saying, hey, he played through a tough injury. Like, well, it's not open heart surgery. So Brady for years has felt like he wasn't getting the credit that was due Belichick. What does that mean? Eventually, Brady said, you know what, I'm leaving. They made him dance through hoops to get his money in the last few years. And that's all Belichick because he's the GM and the coach. He finally leaves. He goes to Tampa, wins a championship. But here's the thing. It always stuck in Brady's craw, right? So what happens?
Brady's craw? What do you mean?
That's right. His claw. Like it's something that's bothered him. But Brady's not somebody who comes out and says that. His dad did an interview just a couple of days ago say he feels vindicated. Tom feels vindicated. Belichick wanted him gone. He got what he wanted. Alex Guerrero comes out and says, you know what? Bill Belichick never evolved over all those years. Tom Brady was somebody different, and he should have treated him as such. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. I don't think you can disagree with that. People are saying, well, Brady's being petty, he's being spiteful. Well, you know something? Next week is the biggest NFL game of in a regular season game. I can't even tell you when. Tom Brady going back to New England.
Cool, Grumpy. It's not going to be the biggest game of the season. I'll tell you again. It's going to be a big game. It won't be the biggest game. It'll be a big game, not the biggest game.
Listen to me. It will be the highest rated game in the NFL regular season this year. Mark my words. Sunday night, Brady going back to New England. You watch.
So what if you're wrong? I don't think it's going to be. I mean, a Week 4 game is not going to be the most viewed game in the entire NFL regular season.
Okay, this, like I said, Tom Brady against Bill Belichick. They won 6 Super Bowls together. There was an acrimonious parting of the ways. Now this is coming out. Brady's pissed. I think he uses his motivation, right? We'll see what happens.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Okay, listen.
Okay.
Nobody cares if Brady's pissed off or not. They don't. Okay, you either love or hate Brady. If Brady's pissed off, it's not really going to do anything. The people that were going to watch the game are just saying, "Oh, awesome." You're not going to see any casual spectators saying, "Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and watch that miserable New England Patriots team face off against Tom Brady." The people who hate Brady watch his games to see him lose.
It's going to be the biggest NFL story next week. Nothing else is even going to be close. Not even close.
Next week and the entire season are 2 completely different cans of corn, bro. They're 2 completely different atmospheres.
At the end, I'll just say, at the end of the season, this will be the highest rated NFL game, regular season, for the whole year. Will be this one.
Tell me more, bro. Tell me more.
I just told you.
Oh,
if you can't understand it, I can't help you.
Oh,
it's a huge game. It's a huge game.
Okay, Grumpy, go ahead. I'm shocked you're not wearing your Brady jersey and your Brady hat. Maybe showing you and brandishing your Brady tattoo.
Here's the thing. You know what? Deal with it. That's what it says. This is my pickle shirt. If you can't realize that that's the biggest game of the year, deal with it.
Oh, yeah, Grumpy. Well, I'm dealing with it. That's a little cute shirt. Cool. Eli says, "Hi, TJ and Grump." Well, what's up? Eli also said, maybe the Bucs and the Pats will be the highest rated. I'm thoroughly convinced that week 15 Jets versus the Jags will be the lowest rated game.
I don't know about that. It depends. Remember what they can sell on that, right? Number 1 pick versus number 2 pick. That's how they're going to sell it.
Well,
it could be. It won't be the highest rated game, though. That much I can tell you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I know you already told us multiple times you think it's going to be the Buccaneers, Grump. So,
sure.
Gotcha. Why don't you hit on that some more, Grumpy?
But it's only because it's Bucs Patriots. It's not because it's Bucs and somebody else. It's Bucs Patriots. The underlying, it's a big story. It's a big story.
I'm not saying it's not a big story. I'm just saying it's not going to be the most viewed regular season game. The most viewed regular season games are always around week 13, week 14, where you have 2 teams that face off that just coincidentally happen to be 10-2, or one team's 11-1, the other one's 10-2, or maybe 9-3, whatever it is, and you got 2 powerhouses. They're going to pump the hell out of that. I don't watch TV, but I haven't seen a whole bunch of commercials advertising this game is the game to watch.
It's a week away. It's a week away. They still have this week's games to play. You think they're going to be pumping a game for next week when they have this week's games to play?
Okay, we'll see. I don't watch a lot of TV, but we'll see, Grumpy, how much they're pumping that game up.
You just said you don't watch TV, so how would you even know?
I said we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see, Grumpy. Don't get your panties in a wad over there.
Nice shirt. You look mighty pale over there.
Grumpy, you're looking like a mighty honking all over the place for Tom Brady. It's disgusting. Makes me want to barf a little bit. That being said, that's the same one we just pulled up. But we talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, oh man, oh man. Now, not sure if you happen to see this quote by Urban Meyer to Vic Fangio. Says, regarding coaching the NFL, it's like playing Alabama every week.
He's just keep his mouth shut.
Jesus Christ, you're not kidding. Just shut the hell up, Urban Meyer.
I mean, yeah, just shut up. I mean, you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
That's the only comment you have to say about that one. Just shut up.
I said last week that he'd be gone by the end of the year. Then I realized they're building all this stuff just for him in Jacksonville. So I wonder if he sticks around for a while. That said, if I'm the owner and I'm not fully invested in this guy, he's probably gone by week 8. He just stop talking. Everything he does is wrong. Everything.
Well, you hear reports coming out again, like last week, saying, "Oh, he's unhinged the way he's acting at practice, doing this, doing that." It's different. And again, the guy, it's tough. It's tough to translate over to that. He's never been a successful NFL coach. It's something he struggled with. That being said, I mean, I also wanted to show you a quote here by Urban Meyer. This is a guy that I think you're right, Grumpy. He just needs to – you talk about how some people are better off just not saying anything at all because they can never find the right words to say. This is a guy who seems to do that quite often. He also says, hang in there with us. We're going to get better. The one thing about Jacksonville in the 904 go to sleep knowing there's a drive in deep left field by Castellanos, and that will make it a 4-0 ball game.
Does that even mean anything to anyone?
I couldn't even tell you. I honestly, like, when I hear stuff like that, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, Urban Meyer, maybe from people that are from that area, Duval, maybe it means something more to them, but it means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, first of all, I never understand taking a college coach and putting him right as a head coach in the NFL. It's a totally different game. In college, you're in total control of those athletes from the minute they get up to the minute they go to sleep. They're in charge. You are the man. Players are not as important. In pro football, it's the exact opposite. The players are everything, and coaches, for the most part, are just sidecars. That rah-rah stuff and that type of mentality doesn't work in the pros. It just doesn't. I mean, I've talked ad nauseum about all the coaches who failed coming directly from college, and he's just going to be another one. For me, the writing's on the wall. No matter how long they keep him, he's not going to be successful.
Want to talk about the other big headline since our last podcast, Grumpy Old Man. Ben Simmons does not want to play for the 76ers again. He intends never to play another game for the 76ers. Man, oh man, he wants out. I can't remember the exact quotes he was making when he released this or when it came out. But I think they said he'd rather retire before playing the game for the 76ers again.
Another moron. And why? Because they wanted him to improve his game in the offseason, improve his shooting. And so he takes it as a personal affront. I'm sorry. I don't know what you can get for Ben Simmons, for a guy who shoots 20% from the field, shoots 10% from the free throw line. I know I'm exaggerating those numbers, but let's be honest. He can't shoot the ball during a game. I don't care if they show film of him practicing 4 years ago and sinking jumpers. He can't do it. I mean, so what's the market for a guy like that? I think they've been way more patient with him than they should have been.
Well, you want to know the market. So there was a deal on the table. Now, this was, I don't know the exact time frame. This was, I believe, though, a little over a year ago, or maybe around last year around this time period. The Nets and the 76ers were in talks, and the trade was going to be Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons. And apparently Kevin Durant said, absolutely freaking not. So it was something along those lines. And Kevin Durant said, and again, this is all via Stephen A. Smith. So again, a guy, you'd like to trust, you think he's got some inside scoop and pull on that. But it was some sort of trade involving Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons. Man, oh man, I couldn't think they had any type of value like that anymore for Ben Simmons. I mean, like, you look at that asset, they've done anything and everything they can to just lower the value of him.
Okay, here's the thing. Kyrie Irving just said this offseason that if he doesn't play for the Nets, he's retiring. So, I mean, I've never seen so many guys in their prime want to retire. You know what that tells me? You're making too much money. If you could play for, what, 4 – how many years has Simmons played? 4 years in the league? 3,
Yeah,
4?
like 5 years. I think Ben Simmons has been in the league 5 years.
Okay. I mean, you just stop sulking. You know what? Improve your game, because you're going to have the same problem no matter where you go. You're afraid to take shots, so they just slough off you, and you can't hit a free throw. I mean, I don't know how that helps your team. He's really great passing the ball, but it's like playing 4-on-5 in the defensive zone. They never have to worry about you. That's going to be a problem as long as he plays, until he learns how to shoot the ball.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think a change of scenery helps him out? Do you think that, allows him to hit the refresh button and he says, all right, now I could finally go ahead and take a step forward in my career? Or do you think this is going to be, an individual to where the same problems he has now are going to be the same problems that carry and follow him everywhere, because it's a mentality thing?
Unless they're playing on some other planet where geophysics are different than they are here on Earth, I don't know, because he can't shoot the ball. I mean, so it's going to be a problem. If his brick city, every time this kid throws the ball up, I don't know how he's going to be successful anywhere.
Brick
I mean, unless you had a team that had 3 powerful scorers who want the ball, and because he obviously doesn't. But I mean, if you're depending on him to be anything more than just a passer, I just don't see it. He hasn't improved his shooting. He's been in the league however many years, and he doesn't want to work at it. I can't help somebody like that.
Grumpy.
Philadelphia should just be happy, saying, you know what, we're glad that you had 12 assists today, 2 points, and shot 1 for 9 from the field, and 0 for 15 at the strike. That's what we want from you.
No, the guy has to improve. I was just saying, grumpy. Man, oh man, we got to get you a new microphone, Grumpy. That mic is sounding rough, Grumpy. We're gonna have to get you situated on that. That being said, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Ben Simmons is a guy where he's got to take ownership. Let's be honest, right? We live in the age where these professional athletes, some refuse to take any ownership for faults in their games. And again, you know what I like to call that? The guy's just not coachable. And when you're not coachable, it prevents you from reaching your peak. It prevents you from being the best player you can be.
I call it lack of drive. That's what I call it. I call it being spoiled. And that's what you're seeing in a lot of athletes now. Just so spoiled that they don't think they're doing it. No one should correct me. I've been coddled since I was 5 years old, playing basketball, football, hockey, soccer, whatever, doesn't matter the sport. I'm great. I don't need any coaching. You're going to criticize me, I'm going to quit and take my ball, puck, tennis racket, whatever, home with me.
Yeah, you see it again. Hopefully, you don't ever want to see a guy who has talent like that, raw talent, just let it go to waste. I mean, it's always a shame when that happens. And again, he's developing one skill away from being a true superstar. And if he can get that skill down, he's in great shape. He's still relatively a young player, but it has to be a mentality change for him. Want to show you a few funny. Well, actually, let's cover this one.
Here's the thing: if he could shoot the ball, look at J.J. Redick, just retired after 17 years in the league, right? J.J. Redick.
Yes.
And what was the one thing he could do? Because he wasn't a great defender, he wasn't a great playmaker. He could shoot. You can have a long career if you can actually put the ball in the net. I don't know how long.
You don't have to really be able to play much defense. I mean, he's heralded because he does a great job on the defensive side of the ball. But some people just make a career off of, hey, I'm a specialist. I'm a 3-point specialist. I'm a specialist who can shoot the ball. And man.
I think Ben Simmons should be working in the crowd, serving popcorn, because that's what he does. He's very good at delivering things to other people. Here's your popcorn. Give me my 20, whatever, $2, $5, whatever it is.
I want to show you this clip. Lucas Paquette got, well, let me put it like this. Yeah, Lucas Paquette got a yellow card for this, Grumpy. Now you're going to see he gets a yellow card from trying to rainbow over a defender. And I want to get you to weigh in on this. It seems like the referees are trying to take the fun out of the game, and the yellow card afterwards was booked for showing a lack of respect. So I'll let you watch this. This is not the first time, though, a rainbow flick has been called in yellow because of the rainbow flick here he attempted, but did not successfully complete.
The biggest thing is she can't keep up with the players as a referee. That's the biggest problem. I'm going to guarantee you she's
She got to be able to run. In the EPL. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of competent refs all over the place. And soccer officials, those officials that make me punch and grump, they drive me insane. They drive me insane sometimes with the call. This, I think, was a bad call. You see some real egregious calls when it comes to, we're not going to call this one a penalty. We're going to call this a penalty. Soccer referees and soccer officials have so much interpretation to where it makes you a villain. No matter where you're officiating, you're almost a villain for half the fans in the stands.
Yeah, poor job by the referee.
Oh man, you're not kidding. Bad call on that yellow. That's for certain,
Terrible,
man. But I wanted to show you that little portion. Now I've got a few little funny clips to show you, and I want to get you to weigh in on what Harbaugh did here with Lamar Jackson. I want to get your take on it. So now, first one here, you talk about the Miami Hurricanes, the U. What in God's name? And I'll have to put this in slow motion for you. You see this safety, number 26, coming down to the flats. Now, I figured you'd catch a little bit of a little laugh at this one, bro. Right? Michigan State wide receiver catches that ball. Number 26 is coming down here to the flats.
Oh, my God. What?
What in God's name was that? I'll let you watch it in full motion here. But holy crap, what the hell is he doing?
He was scared of getting blocked. He was scared of
He was afraid. He was afraid
of taking the block.
So he didn't go for the tackle?
Yeah. He was scared of that. Ugh.
That's like a freaking U-turn. My goodness gracious, man. Oh,
terrible.
Is any wonder they lost this game?
They should revoke his scholarship.
Go! Hey, dude, I'll tell you, I say that sometimes when players do something really dumb, like skip his scholarship. Oh, man. Now it's not even the scholarship. Now they get all the name, image, and likeness. So the scholarship really is like, that's secondary to it.
I mean, what's he going to get for his name, image, and likeness? Let me think. Maybe like a robber who runs away when you turn the lights on. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, Grumpy, I'll let you try to think of a better one than that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the next clip. I wanted to show you and get your opinion on it. So now, these are the interesting parts I love about the sport. So this was, I don't know if you happen to see this. This was in a very entertaining Kansas City Chiefs against Baltimore Ravens game, right? And we had talked about it, how week 2, it seems like every single game happens to be coming down the wire. Every single game seems to be really close. Remember how we were talking about this? Coincidentally, every game seems to be really close. I wonder why. Another situation where the game was very close, went right down to the wire, right? It was 1 minute and 5 seconds left, and it was 4th down. They determined, hey, do we punt the ball and give it to Patrick Mahomes and see if our defense can hold them? Or do we go for it on 4th down and say, hey, Lamar Jackson, can we get the first? I want you to listen to what Harbaugh says here.
That they go for this.
No, you don't. It's going to be one.
He says, Lamar, do you want to go for it? I don't know if you can read lips, Grumpy. I'll rewind it one more time.
Oh, yeah.
Lamar, do you want to go for
One
it?
hell of a call, though.
This
Let's
would
go.
be really rough. That they go
He's asking, and again, Lamar Jackson got the first down. But I always love when you get to see a little bit of that. You know, the player gets a little bit of a feel like he has a little bit of control in it. He obviously looks like the hero and looks like a golden boy because, hey, he trusted his players, got the feel for it, and the player was able to execute. What do you think would have happened if Lamar Jackson didn't get that first down?
It doesn't matter.
Kansas City scores.
It was still the right call because do you want to give Mahomes the ball back with whatever it was, 1 minute and 20 seconds?
No.
I mean, you know, he get 3 passes, he's right down the field. They're only down by a field goal. So, you know, to me, you got to go for it there. Put the ball into your best player's hands and see if he can pick up a yard. And he did, and that was the end of the game.
Yeah, no, I,
It was the
I
right
agree.
call.
It was the right call. I'm just saying, though, when you see those type of items, it kind of gives you a little different aspect, a little different viewpoint. I like it in the inside. I feel like you get the inside, like I'm down there in the huddle. I'm down there on the field. Eli said, who do you think comes out of the AL into the wild card? Boston won 7 in a row. Yankees 3 in a row, 2 games back from the Red Sox. And Toronto down 6-2 right now. They're half a game behind the Yankees. Seattle won 5 in a row, 2 games behind the Yankees. I'm telling you, the AL wild card is mighty close.
Pretty wild with a week and a half to go. I say, Boston's gotten hot at the right time. Kyle Schwarber's on fire. Chris Sale's been pitching well since he came back from his bout with COVID. The Yankees, as much as I like the Yankees, yeah, they might win 3 in a row. They might win 5 in a row, but they could lose 5 in a row too. 2 up and down. Toronto's been pretty consistent, right? Only half game. I'm going to go with Toronto and Boston as the final 2 teams.
Wow. So leaving out your Yankees, because I know you're a fan of the Bronx Bombers growing.
Well, I'm hoping that it kind of reverse psychology means that they'll make it.
Oh, okay. You're going to say, hey, they're not going to make it, therefore they're going to do the opposite?
But here's the thing, right? This weekend, what's the weekend series? Boston against the Yankees. That'll tell you everything right there.
Yes, it will. You talk about monumental. You talk about playoff type of feel and atmosphere. Every single one of those games are going to have that playoff feel and atmosphere to it.
I don't think baseball is anywhere near as popular as it was 10, 15 years ago.
I agree.
I think they really mismanaged the sport with the analytics geeks and every other thing. But there's nothing like a late September series, Yankees, Red Sox, playoffs on the line. It's almost must-watch TV, but it's hard to watch baseball nowadays. It really is.
I feel like the PR and I feel like the image that they try to go ahead and exude, I just feel like it doesn't match up with what people like. Again, some people watch it all the time religiously. I used to watch baseball religiously. I am a Mets fan, but even when the Mets are doing well, I'm just kind of like, okay, I'll tune in and watch a few innings. I'm not going to sit there and watch the whole game like I used to. But maybe it's because I've been through the ringer. I've seen plenty miserable Mets teams.
I just think that the way the game is played, it's like you're letting the analytics people run baseball, and they're live people. They're not little spreadsheets.
Mm-hmm. And then Eli also said there, and the Yankees have a 3-game set with Boston and Toronto in the next 6 games. It's going to be a tight 4-way race. Yeah, you're not kidding there.
Yeah, I mean the Yankees. Here's the thing: the Yankees know what they have to do. They got to beat Boston and Toronto. They take care of business, they'll make the playoffs. If they don't, they won't.
Look at that. Keeping it simple and easy, Grumpy Old
That's
Man.
what I like to do. I like to keep it simple.
A man of many, many words.
I don't need an analytics spreadsheet to tell me what the guy's going to do on a 3-2 pitch, put the shift on. You know what? You want to know how you get out of the shift? I've said 100 times before. That's on the players. Go the other way. That ends the shift.
The rambling old man, the rambling grumpy old man.
Rambling man.
I was about to say rambling, stambling, and jambling. That being said, grumpy old man, they have a little bit of hockey news. Grumpy, there's some hockey news to talk about. Few big injury pieces of news, and one of them is going to be more tumultuous. One of them is going to be more juicy than the other. We'll start off with the least juicy. Evgeny Malkin is going to miss at least the first 2 months of the NHL regular season.
Knee injury. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a silver lining to that cloud? Yeah. Since he's 34, 35 years old now, he doesn't have to play the whole year. Maybe he's healthier for the second half. There's your silver lining. The little dark rain cloud is the fact that Pittsburgh has to be without one of its top, 3-4 players.
Yeah. And again, we've talked about this on the Honors Never Say That podcast, Chrome. Now, this is the older your team gets, and again, like as your star players get older and older, the tougher it's going to be to maintain. That Pittsburgh team, you look at some of those contributors, your Chris Letang's, you look at your Evgeny Malkins, you look at your Sidney Crosby's, they're not getting any younger. And I think that this quote was pretty good, right? He posted 5 points in 4 games, essentially on one leg. They said Malkin feared major damage had occurred at the time and was encouraged by people, including the Penguins, to not play in the postseason. However, Malkin was aware that he could not do any more damage to to the most serious of his injured ligaments, and played the final 4 games of the Pittsburgh's opening round loss to the Islanders in the 2021 playoffs. He scored 5 points in those games, causing at least one teammate to ask, how does anybody do what Gino did against a team like the Islanders, playing basically on one leg?
That just shows how good he is, right? How great a player he is, right? I mean, I know that hockey players come back quicker from torn knee ligaments, but still, I mean, man, that's a big loss for Pittsburgh. A big loss. Big loss.
Yeah, no doubt at all that's a big loss, Grumpy Old Man. And it's one of those things where, hey, can they go ahead and weather the storm? At least 2 months. It's not like he's saying he's going to be out roughly 2 months. At least 2 months. Could be 2.5. Could be closer to 3 months for all we know. And again, missing a guy like Malkin for 3 months, especially in the season that we're going to have, to where you've got the Olympics right in the middle of the NHL season. Oh, but he could be out until after the Olympics.
Do you think about the boost he's going to be for Pittsburgh when he does come back, though? Because let's be honest, he's going to be healthier than he was all year last year.
Yeah. So, but again, it could be an item where he comes back and bangs up and nicks up his knee already again. So we have no earthly idea. I mean, remember, he's had knee surgery before in 2011. So again, like as you continually have knee surgery, those things usually don't get more and more healthy.
Well,
so
anytime that an older player gets injured, the recovery time is longer than a younger player. And the older you get, the more injury prone you get. Those are just physical facts.
Yeah. Eli also saying, if Pittsburgh and Washington fall off this year, that would open up room for the Devils, Rangers, and Phillies to compete for the 4 and 5 spots. It would be fun to see the Devils sneak into the playoffs this year.
I don't think the Devils are going to sneak into the playoffs. I don't think Pittsburgh and Washington are going to fall off the cliff. I think it's going to be tightly contested for those 3 playoff positions, maybe 4. I mean, you don't think
the Devils could take a step up, right? Jonathan Bernier now in that. I mean, they've made a few adjustments here this offseason. I'm not saying they're going to be the greatest team since sliced bread, but I think the Rangers, you'd have to think the Rangers, with new management, new coach, is going to go ahead and, they might be a little bit better off than they were last year. College Quinn is gone. In Philadelphia, made a lot of big moves this offseason. So I think, that Malcolm piece missing could really hurt the Penguins.
Yeah, but I don't think the division's that tough anymore. I just don't. I think it's mostly an older division, with the exception of the Rangers and maybe some of the Devils players. But I mean,
the Devils are young.
Yeah, I mean, but their players aren't as talented as the Rangers are. Their younger players. They have a couple,
Okay.
but I just feel it's an old division. I don't see the Devils being ready to sneak into the playoffs. I just don't, because if you're looking at, honestly, maybe 4 teams make it out of the Metro Division to make the playoffs. It's not going to be 5. It'll maybe be 4. Maybe just the 3. Never know.
Now, this is what I want to talk about. You want to talk about the biggest piece of hockey news, right? It's funny to think that Evgeny Malkin being out for 2 months is almost, it's dwarfed as compared to what we're going to cover here next. So there has been a huge issue out of Buffalo regarding the Sabres and Jack Eichel. And now this has been going on all off season long. So we'll go ahead. I'll give you a little bit of the update for those of you who are just going to be like, hey, it's the first time listening to it. Jack Eichel failed his physical today, and he has a back issue. He wants to have his disc. He wants to have his herniated disc or his disc operated on. The Buffalo Sabres staff wants him to have fusion surgery. Jack Eichel does not want fusion surgery. They want him to get it. They will not allow him to go ahead and get surgery on his disc unless it's a fusion-based surgery. Man, oh man. So they're at a standstill, is what it seems like, because Jack Eichel not willing to budge regarding his health and what he wants done to his body and for his ability to play in the future. The Buffalo Sabres saying it's this way or you're not playing, because you still need the surgery. You're not going to be able to play like this. So they're at a standstill in a sense, Grumpy.
I look at this statement, I just think a couple of things. The first erroneous statement is Jack Eichel's health is most important to the organization. They could care less about Jack Eichel's health. What they want to make sure that he can play for them. That's all they care about. That's why they want to go the fusion route. Because, yeah, you're going to play with it. Is it possibly going to limit some of the things that Jack Eichel does? Yes. Maybe he wants to avoid that. But once again, it's a team figuring that they know better than the individual does. And if you're not going to do it our way, we're going to strip you of the captaincy and you're not going to play. I mean, what does that do? If they're trying to trade somebody, you had all summer to discuss this, all summer, and you couldn't come up with a decision. Why wouldn't the team bend and just say, okay, Jack, what do you want to have happen? You're going to need something because it's not working for you. And I don't know what exact type of surgery you want. I know there are types where you don't have to fuse, but you do something else with the vertebrae. I'm just baffled how it's gotten to this point. I mean, you have an asset that you cannot move now. You can't move it.
Yeah, and again, just to show you here, Elliot Friedman saying Buffalo's general manager Kevin Adams confirmed Jack Eichel is not cleared to play. He said there remains a dispute on medical options, with Jack Eichel declining a fusion in the back. The Sabres are not interested in providing him this surgery. Adams also backed the team doctors. Eichel is no longer the team captain of the Sabres. Adding insult to injury, right? He wants a surgery done his way because he thinks it's better than for his health. They will not allow him to, and they're going to back the team doctors. Oh man! Imagine if maybe a team doctor could be wrong. Vladimir Tarasenko reportedly is extremely healthy and looks fantastic in camp, is all the rumors coming out of St. Louis. Maybe team doctor got it wrong.
Not according to Kevin Adams, because he's backing those team doctors. There's another shock, right? Do you ever see a GM say anything negative about somebody affiliated with the team? No, they always stick together. That's why I've always been an advocate for the players. You have to stick up for yourselves. The team does not have your best interests in mind. They do not. You are something that put cash in their pockets. That's what it's about.
You're an asset that gets them paid.
That's it. They could care less if you're debilitated later in your life. They could care less. Obviously, Eichel wanted to do a disc surgery and probably know someone who can do it for him, but they don't want to do it because the fusion is more, I'm not saying it's better for the player, but it's more of a sure option, which is what they want.
They don't want him to maybe miss more time due to, surgery done the way of, operating there on the actual disc. They want the fusion. Again, you won't be able to bend when you fuse those items. You're not going to be able to have the flexibility to bend all the way down. I used to have a teammate who used to have that fusion surgery, and he can only bend so far down because his last little bit was fused together. So, long term, maybe something he said, nah, I don't want to go ahead and put myself, in that situation where I'm long, old, and retired. I can't do that. You spoke about also how, the teams only care about you as an asset, how much you can produce for them. Yeah, that's 100% right. Think about how much the NFL and other leagues covered up the CTE and the issues with brain injuries that players were having. They tried to conceal that information when studies and reports are coming out. They tried to fight tooth and nail to prevent any of that information from getting out and to be validated. You just think to yourself, oh, yeah, these people do not give two craps about any of the players. They only care about how much money they can make them.
And they knew it. They knew it all along. They always know. They've known it. Or how about this? They don't want to put in for the pension for the ex-players. We don't want to pay the guys because they can't play anymore. We only want to give you so much money. So let's give it to the guys who are playing now. They could care less about any of the older players. They just don't care. They pretend they do because the NFL is real good on that. It's like, like they care about breast cancer, right? They don't care about breast cancer. They wear the little pink in October for breast cancer. Do you think they really care? They don't. They absolutely don't. It makes them look good, which is all they really care about.
The billions and billions and billions of dollars, if it was a huge issue for them, maybe they could go ahead and use some of those funds to go ahead and help further help breast cancer. Again, like everything they sell pink, certain proceeds go to breast cancer. I think they care a little bit about it, but it's more one of those items that, it gets us good publicity, so we definitely want to make sure we're doing this.
And it's the same thing with Black Lives Matter, right? They pretend like they're interested in that. They're not. They don't care about it. And you'll see that'll be eventually it goes away and you won't hear the NFL say anything about it because all they care about is positive press coverage. What makes them look good? That's all they care about. They're disgusting. The owners and the NFL in general is just disgusting.
Alexander said, "Hey, Grumpy and TJ, late start, guys. Had to get these kids to play." Also saying, "I really don't know why the Islanders don't make a move for Eichel. And the Islanders have leverage. Any team at this point has leverage, except for the Islanders guys." Grumpy old man regarding Jack Eichel. Why would the Islanders not make a move for Jack Eichel?
First of all, I don't think they have any of the necessary pieces that Buffalo would like. All right, if you're not going to trade for Tarasenko because of a shoulder injury, you think they're going to trade for somebody who has a debilitating back injury? I mean, for me, it's like, why would Buffalo make a trade with the Islanders? Who would you want from the Islanders? And who could the Islanders afford to give up? They're not going to give you Matt Barzal. Okay, so what other offensive talent?
Well, they could
want from the Islanders?
They could give up Bodie Wild and other pieces.
I don't even want to talk about Bodie Wild today.
We're going to save that. We're going to save that because we're going to let the dust settle. We're going to wait till more information comes out. We'll talk about the Bodie Wild incident. We'll talk about that on the Islanders Never Say That podcast on Saturday, October the 2nd. For certain we will. Alexander also saying here, some of the NFL players, their families have gone through breast cancer. Yeah, the thing is, like, they use those stories, and the thing is, like, I think they care about. They don't, it's more of how can this help us? Because how does this benefit us? I believe there's always the NFL. They do want to help out certain entities. You like pump, pass, and kick, or play 60. Right? We're helping fight childhood obesity.
They could care.
The owners. I'm talking more about the owners. The owners and the people who wield the majority of the power do not care about any of those type of items. They don't care about childhood obesity. They don't care about anything that they say they really care about or that they pretend their team and organization does, right? The NFL PR puts on a show saying, "Oh, we do care about this." And they do good works, right? Like United Way does a lot of good works in communities, which is fantastic. But I'm just saying, it's funny where you see them talk about certain items and you see the NFL cover up egregious acts. You see them cover up domestic violence out the wazoo. I mean, I always go back to the Ray Rice incident because they were never going to talk about Ray Rice pummeling his girlfriend in the elevator. Oh, okay. I don't even think he got suspended when originally. Before the video came out, they said he was not going to get suspended. They said, okay, we'll review the tape, all this other stuff, until somebody leaked that information. Then all of a sudden, they said, we're going to suspend you, Ray Rice. And then all of a sudden, I think it was the Ravens at the time period happened to cut him, and he never played again. But that's what I mean. I just feel like they're always so two-faced because in reality, they don't care about anything but green.
Right. Now, here's the thing. They knew that Ray Rice beat the girlfriend. They saw the tape.
They had the video.
They had it. Somebody leaked it. All of a sudden, we have to do that because they don't care.
TMZ leaked it. Yeah, thanks, Alexander. I couldn't remember what entity leaked it, but I remember when it got brought out. Holy crap. Then all of a sudden it was like, we're going to go ahead and we're going to suspend him for, the rest of the season. Oh, now we're going to have to cut him. And it's just like they're all playing catch up when they all saw that video. They all saw exactly what transpired, and they all determined to say, well, let's see if we can keep this quiet. And I always look at the one with Joe Mixon, right, where he punches that girl in the bar and breaks her jaw, and he still was his second-round pick. I do believe people have the ability to, grow as a human and, rectify mistakes they've made. But I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, anything they could cover up, it's the same thing with the quarterbacks. Anything they can cover up, they do.
Exactly. And like I said, they don't care. They pretend like they care, but they don't. And, there are players whose mothers have had breast cancer. But I don't think the NFL cares. I almost think they use them as pawns to make themselves look good. Look at us. We care. They don't care. They don't care. And the league is run not by the commissioner, by the owners. People forget that the owners can hire and fire the commissioner anytime they want. He is a tool that they put in place.
Well, it's funny. Now, have you ever seen 30 Rock, Grumpy Old Man?
Yes.
I was rewatching it because it got put back on Netflix, and I love 30 Rock. I forgot how funny it was. So there was an episode to where Tracy Jordan, he's the crazy guy on the show. He comes out there and he speaks about how he has his daughter, and he didn't know about food education, and he talks about diabetes and all this other stuff like that. And he makes up the story. He makes it up a little bit. He's like, "Oh man, you guys did an excellent job. We got more donations for this. We got more, enthusiasm out of this. We're going to go ahead and give you X, Y, Z in return for it. Give you a little bit of kickback." And they asked him like, "Oh, Tracy, I didn't know had that story about your daughter." He's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of made it up a little bit. I kind of embellished the story a little bit. I'm not saying players are embellishing their stories, but I'm just saying that it wouldn't shock me at all if they're like, hey, if you can do X, Y, Z for me, we'll make sure to do this for you." So who the heck knows? But I do believe everything has some sort of monetary benefit is what the majority of them are looking at. Some maybe are really, truly hard and good people, but I feel like some are not.
No, I don't think any of the stories are made up. I don't think any of the players are.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying there are. I'm just using it as a little funny tidbit.
I'm just saying that I think the NFL uses those stories to make themselves look good, because I don't think they give two hoots about anything but the green money that comes in. It's all they care about.
And they said, Alexander said, maybe 2 second-round picks for Jack Eichel.
No way Buffalo takes that. No way.
Yeah. No. Well, here's the thing, right? Jack Eichel, the more and more tumultuous that situation gets, the lower his value will drop, right? I mean, it's pretty serious. I mean, think about that. And I'll show you the statement here, grumpy old man. That was also made. He said, "I spoke to Jack Eichel 2 days ago. I spoke to the team yesterday and addressed this. Jack Eichel is no longer the captain of the Buffalo Sabres. From our perspective, the captain is your heartbeat of your team. And we're in a situation where we felt we needed to make that decision." Holy crap, he's no longer the heartbeat of the team. That tells you all you need to know. When you remove the captaincy from Jack Eichel, he's got to be leaving. He wants to be leaving.
GM should be gone. The worst team in the league for a reason. And they're a dumpster fire. I mean, the fact that you couldn't come to an agreement with the player on what type of surgery to get, you're adamant about a certain type of surgery, I don't understand it. They say they're interested in the player's well-being. Doesn't sound like it to me. They don't want the player having any input on his own physical health and well-being. They want to dictate to the player what type of surgery he should get. I'm sorry. I don't see how that's caring about the player. That means you don't give two shits about the player. You just want him to do what you want him to do. I just find them being very disingenuous.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're not going to go out there and say, hey, we want him to have this surgery. He refuses, and we're upset. We're throwing a little pity party about it. So we're going to do everything we can to ruin his status and make him think twice about that. We're going to go ahead and press our thumb on him. When in reality, again, this is one thing I do like about how new age sports are done. Players have more power than they used to. Back in the day, if something like that were to happen, Jack Eichel would never be seen of again. You'd never hear of him again, and he'd have no platform. It's exactly what would happen. Say, all right, yeah, you're never going to play again. You're going to do this way of the highway, and that's it. How else are you going to spread your story? How else are you going to spread your side? Public opinion against you, and you're going to see everybody hating on you. But I think in this situation, Jack Eichel was flowering because everybody's like, why the hell won't you just let him do the surgery he wants to do? Let's say if it doesn't work out, then maybe he'll reconsider about the fusion. But why won't you just let him do what he wants to do with his body?
To me, Jack Eichel, if he really wants to burn that last bridge, just come out and say what I just said. The team professes that they care about my health and well-being. They don't, because they don't want me to have any input into my own personal health. They don't want that. They're dictating what I should have done. When there's another way, they just don't want to do it. I'm going to pull a Ben Simmons.
I'm never going to play for this team again.
That's right.
Oh, grumpy. This is Taylor Heineke. He had a little bit of a tidbit. Now, this is a little bit funny. We're going to leave on a funny note here today, Grumpy. I'll let you listen to this little portion.
Washington. It was after the Tampa game last year. I really tried to give him something. And my agent said that they had
Can't hear it.
24 back at home and received it.
Okay, Grumpy. Okay. Okay. You said you couldn't hear it, or it's hard?
Very, very loud.
Okay, Grumpy. Well, I'm just going to need you to play quiet ears and just listen, okay, my friend? It's going to be – the audio is going to be tough on this one, okay?
I picked up Washington. It was after the Tampa game last year. I really tried to give him something. And my agent said that they had sent me a 24 pack at home, never received it. And they said that they can't deliver to my address. There's a gas station block away that has Heineken inside.
So long story short, they were saying, have you ever reached out to Heineke? Maybe you get a sponsorship or something like that because, your name is pronounced Heineke. And he said, hey, I reached out to him after the Tampa game, tried to get something going on, but they said they would send me a 24-pack, but then they couldn't deliver one to my house. So, again, he was making light of the situation, joking around a little bit. The funny thing is Bud Light comes in here and comes in looking like a freaking champion. They signed Taylor Heineke to the Bud Light team, and they call it the Bud Lightekey. For Bud Light. And again, this guy's running with it. I always love to see little stories like this and little tidbits because, you think, it gets social media, so probably not paying them a whole bunch, but, it's like, it gets people like us talking about it, and it's just a little funny little tidbit. It's a funny little jab at Heineken.
Talk about a missed opportunity by Heineken. Think about it. You got to, and think about how worse it is now. He's the starting quarterback in Washington now. Talk about missing the boat. Heineken, please. How do the marketing people not put that together? You didn't have to pay him a whole lot to do that ad.
I was about to say, right, because he's a journeyman quarterback as of right now. He was a backup, and again, he's just got a little funny name. Even if you make a little funny commercial about it, people are like, oh yeah, I remember Taylor Heineke. I remember Taylor Heineke.
Anything. Hey, you know what? I was working at what school was he going to before he was taken off out of school just before the playoffs to come in. He was going to college to try to finish up his degree. Hey, you know what? You drink Heineken. The next week you can play in the NFC divisional round against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Throw for 300 and whatever yards.
Was it Old Dominion?
Old Dominion, that's it.
So you're telling me he was in school,
yes.
And then he just
yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was about to say that's right. He hadn't played since 2018. He just
with the Panthers.
That's right. Oh my God, Taylor Heineke. Yeah, you talk about a funny commercial saying something like, I think that would have been funny, grumpy old man. Hey, I was just in grad school. I drank Heineke one weekend. Boom, I'm starting quarterback for the Washington football team.
Yep, I drank Heineken. Hey, it's me, Taylor Heineke. I'm in Old Dominion working with my student friends. They look at me, I'm an old man. I drink a couple. I go out to the store. I buy them some Heinekens. All of a sudden, we get looped up, and I'm playing in the NFC playoffs the next week. It could write itself, honestly.
Well, gotcha, Grump. Well, hey, man, we covered a lot today, sports-wise, Grumpy. What else you have to say before we wrap up today's podcast?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listened, and even those who didn't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. And we are going to be out of commission for the next week. So no podcast on Sunday or next Thursday, but we'll be back on Sunday.
We'll be back Sunday, October the 3rd. And again, best way to show support for this podcast is by subscribing on YouTube, liking on Facebook, and following on Twitter. We'll be back at it again next Sunday, October the 3rd. Thank you, everybody who tuned in and listened. It means the world to us. Again, when we get people over here commenting, interacting there with listening to the podcast and the live stream. But thank you again, Grumpy Old Man, and thank you, everybody who listened.